Welcome to Build. I'm Laura Haywood. Joining me today is the cast of Good Grief, currently running Off-Broadway at the Vineyard Theater. It's the story, or perhaps the memory, of Nkechi, a Nigerian-American girl in Pennsylvania, and those in her orbit, a first love, a philosophical brother, immigrant parents, the boy next door. Nkechi is played by Ngozi Anyanwu, who also wrote the play and is here today, along with fellow actors Nnamdi Asomugha, Hunter Parrish, and Ian Quinlan. Please join me in welcoming the cast of Ngozi Anyanwu's Good Grief.
All right.
I'm laughing because I have been practicing those names backstage and all week long.
It's close.
I'm gonna, oh man. Did I get yours wrong?
No, it was great. It was great.
Because I think Asomugha.
I think you did. Yeah, that's great. Well, you're a Berkeley, you're Oakland.
Yeah, well, I've been following your football career, yeah. Yeah, but now you're a big-time actor, producer.
Hey.
Talk into the mic so everyone can hear you.
Yeah, let's hear you.
Actually, so
yes.
let's start with you. Why don't you say your name, who you play in the show, and then we'll jump in from there.
Yeah,
we'll get back
awesome.
to talking football, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's great. No, so I'm Nnamdi. I play Bro in Good Grief, this wonderful story about a young girl who's going through grief for the first time, and basically it's about the few people in her life and how they help her process with that grief. And so it's her brother, her dad, her mom, and a couple other people. And so I'm her brother, and I come in and try to cheer her up a little bit and, you know, have some laughs.
I love that character. And I love when Nkechi is like, why do we sound so different? You have this like, Bro is such a good name, because in addition to being the brother, I feel like you've also got this kind of like bro thing going on.
Yeah, definitely. But it's great. It's great. We met, I guess, a year ago, maybe, on like a general meeting, and you know, we kind of hit it off. It was supposed to be a 30-minute meeting. I think it lasted for like 4 or 5 hours.
Wow, really?
It lasted a year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
You have that power.
We
You really do.
talking about
Like a
nonsense,
vortex.
and then and then it was all the master plan. And then you know, in August, I got the audition, and so here I am.
Awesome. Asomugha, I should say.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I don't know. Bye.
sticking
Good
that
night,
landing.
everybody. Ian, can you introduce yourself and tell us about your character?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Ian Quinlan, and I play MJ. I am N's love and the one she has lost. Yeah, it's a beautiful play. I kind of always tell N and I make a joke, Ngozi and I make a joke that we're in a different play. You know, we're in a very different play. Everybody says she's in a play about grief. I'm in a play about life. I'm in a romantic comedy. You know what I mean? And I think there's something, that's what's so beautiful about this relationship and these moments and these scenes together, that he represents what we've lost, which is like, and that's what happens when you grieve. What you're grieving is this joy that you felt. And so we try to make sure that every time we are on stage together, it's full of love, it's full of life, it's full of joy. And like, it's been a really wild ride. Yeah.
There are so many happy moments and such joy, and even a lot of humor in this story that is named for grief. But it's no accident, I imagine, that you put the word good in there.
Yeah, I don't really like to. I laugh a lot, and I try and make people around me laugh a lot. But I also like to get into just intense, deep, philosophical conversations, and so I try and make my writing reflect what I like to do in life, which is like experience joy. I just don't think you can have one without the other. We had done a production of this in LA, and we had brought one of the guys who had actually written like the 5 stages of grief. He'd written one of the books, and what he had talked about, like grief is actually it's the absence of love. The more you love that person, the more you grieved. You know, the more you grieve. And so, you know, I just really wanted this to be a representation of someone that I loved a lot, and wanted to show why it is that N is grieving, and why it is that she's feeling these sort of deep, tragic feelings, because there was a lot of love, and, you know, want to have the audience experience my love for him as well.
So we'll talk more about your writing process and your character, but I want to give Hunter a chance to introduce himself.
Hunter.
No, honestly, we skip right on through. I'm Hunter Parrish. I get to play JD, who's, I guess, sort of the live counterpart to MJ, or the catalyst in some ways for N to rediscover life or love again, or a hint of it perhaps.
He's sort of the boy next door. I know literally he's like on the other side of the cul-de-sac, but that just doesn't roll off the tongue the same way as the boy next door does.
Right. Call him the boy next door. And that's his little life, just to bring in a little joy to this grieving lady.
Okay, so this is, as you describe in the notes for the script, but is not actually said in the show itself. This is a best friends play.
Yeah.
And it also draws very significantly from your own life. Yeah. Can you talk about why, if it's a story of losing a first love, why it's a best friends play and not a love play?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I would say it's a pseudo-autobiographical play, and the majority of our about a friend of mine who passed, Matthew Jason Galleon, rest in peace.
Did you call him MJ?
I did not call him MJ. It's still a fictional play. And the majority of our relationship was friendship, and I think the play is not just about that love, but it's also about her friendship with her brother. It's about her friendship with JD. It's about her relationship with her family. So for me, it actually is very much a play about best friends who happen to also love each other in that way. But the majority of their relationship is actually based in friendship. And the majority of the relationship is actually based in how they got to know each other since they were kids. So I think, as an audience member, you can pull from like the love story aspect of it. But there's also very much about the connection that they had just as human beings, with their thoughts and their feelings and their loneliness and what have you. So, yeah.
I love the idea that each one of the characters represented on stage today is her best friend.
Yeah.
And it being an homage to all of those relationships.
Yeah.
And even you could say that the two other main actors in the show, the parents, are also her best friend.
Yeah, and they're
in
best
certain
friends,
moments.
as well. So I think it's also just very much a play about relationships and friendships and how, deep that can go. Yeah.
Can you talk about playing this fictionalized version of yourself? Has any other actor played Nkechi in this play?
No, I've done every performance of it. I actually wrote it originally about myself for my best friend to play, because we were raised kind of the same way, suburban black girls and what have you. And so I made it really specific to myself, not trying to actually play myself. And then when we had done like a sort of small Kickstarter-y workshop version of the play, she booked 2 television shows. and we were paying like peanuts, and the only way to ensure that the person would not quit was to step in it. And then once I stepped in it, I couldn't let it go.
Right.
And it just felt like I couldn't quite let it go. So this process has been also very much a like letting go period of like, okay, after this New York production, it will hopefully be done around the country by other awkward suburban black girls. So
Awkward?
Yeah, really.
You weren't awkward.
there they are.
Neither you nor the character seems particularly awkward to me. I mean, she's going through puberty in certain scenes, so I get that we all have awkwardness there, but I don't think that needs to be a required characteristic of the actor.
And let's just be clear, she fully sees you. You feel awkward. Like, that's what it is. It's not, she's totally fine. She knows who you are. She sees you. You feel naked. That's what it is.
Yeah, so the situations often feel awkward, I should say.
Had any of you worked together before this project?
I knew Ian. I was an assistant director for the ABC Diversity Showcase like 8 years ago.
Wow.
And Ian was an actor in that.
Yes.
But Hunter sent in a tape, and so this is our first time working together. And me and Nnamdi just chilled and got coffee and talked a lot of junk.
Yeah.
5 hours apparently.
For 5 hours.
For 5 hours.
All the time. So this is me and Ian's first experience.
It's
working together.
just the intimacy that comes across on stage. I mean, it's a testament to your skill as actors, because the love between everybody. I mean, you two don't really interact on stage, right?
These two, no.
Yeah,
The
the middle
enemies.
two.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
But your chemistry
just feel the spite.
with everybody is just, it's so remarkable that it seems like you've known them all your life.
I think it's just required of the work of this play. This play just very much has to feel like family, and our fearless leader, Owoye Timpo, I think also just creates a beautiful room where we kind of just want to spend time with each other anyway. I think me and Ian would go to hot yoga after
Yeah, which I've never done before.
few weeks of rehearsal just to spend time together and get to know each other. So I just think that the play requires it, and we're open to it. So we spend a lot of time together. We like each other. So I'm glad that reflects
Yeah,
And it's also a very disciplined, phenomenal cast. I mean, Ian was Simba in The Lion King on
Little
Broadway.
Simba.
way back in the day, yeah, little baby Simba.
Back in the day, and you're scrolling through the channel and you see through the TV and you see This Is Us, and you see Hunter pop up on This Is Us, and, and just like the Oberon and Patrice and Lisa, everybody's just really talented. So I don't think it was a struggle to get along and to learn from each other.
Yeah.
I often compare professional actors to professional athletes in terms of the endurance that it
Segue.
takes. Segue. And you have the experience of having done both. You were a very successful football player, both in college and in the pros, and now you are killing it on stage as an actor. You're also a producer. Do you think that the comparison to actors as professional athletes is apt?
It just depends on what we're comparing. You're talking about the endurance of
Well,
it.
I think when I use that comparison, I'm usually talking about people who are singing and dancing in these huge spectaculars
Yes.
8 times a week, where they're actually putting their bodies through the ringer.
Absolutely.
I have also seen roles that are emotionally such a roller coaster,
Taxing.
like Melchior in Spring Awakening, which I saw Hunter play several times, where that also feels like it would just be exhausting by the end. So I think
Yeah, I would say much closer to theater than film and television, just
Yeah.
because it's every single day and it's nonstop. And we were in tech rehearsals, and it was from morning until night. We were in there just going through it, nonstop repetition, and that's sort of the athletic part of it. But when you come to film, there's so many breaks in television. You do a scene, you go back, you wait 2 hours, you do another scene. So it's a little different. But with theater, definitely.
Would you say that even about someone who played the lead on a long-running drama on television? Do you know anybody who might fit that?
I don't.
Anybody at all?
The
Segue.
last one of those I saw was the show called Weeds. But
Oh my gosh, you totally
I don't think that's what you were talking about. Somehow, I don't think so.
I wonder who else.
For those who don't know, Nnamdi's wife is one Kerry Washington from Scandal, who's currently starring on Broadway in American Son. So I appreciate you. Not that you let me reference her, but
no, I actually tried to swing it to Hunter.
I know I saw you did, and I thought that was clever, and I also wasn't
well
letting
done.
it happen. But actually, Hunter, I'm interested in your take on that too. The difference between playing a long-running role on television and being on stage. From what I have heard, the skill sets are really different, but they're both called acting.
Yeah, no, it's actually part of our, the guys share a dressing room, so we're constantly talking about this, and back to your sports thing too, just the concept of, I wish sometimes acting felt more like sports, because in sports there's like a win and a loss,
Yeah,
it's very
right.
different.
It's really
At
cut
the
and
end,
dry.
you know if you did well.
That's right.
And when we do a show, we hope people are entertained, but you sort of get off and go,
That's right.
I have no idea if that landed or what's been happening. So that's always a fun, I've always wished that this felt more like a sport for that reason. But as far as the acting, all of us have done to some degree some on-film stuff, and yeah, it's a totally different muscle, but then the audition part of it is also a different muscle. There's several different skill sets, I think, that are involved in it. The part about this that I enjoy is a little bit more community, because you are sort of forced together.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love the rehearsal process. We get to really try things out. You get 3 minutes to try out your scene in TV or film, and then
the
also
live audience we've talked about.
and the live audience is fun, and
rush.
having that interaction. It's the character that is not on stage that really is a part of that process, and also just getting to live in the moment of the story we're telling for a solid 2 hours or 90 minutes or whatever it is. Whereas, when you're doing TV film, you're done in 30 seconds to 2 minutes. You don't get to really live in that world for very long. And I love just, especially for you in Good Grief, just 90 minutes of constant, living in this story and this reality. I think it's that is a stark contrast between TV, film, and theater.
Yeah, and that momentum that kind of builds every night, that we started, we ended together, we're in it together all the way through. It's eye to eye. It's like the energy passing.
In that sense, it is a team.
Yeah,
brings
it's
in that
sport.
sports idea.
Team art. Yeah.
In addition to hot yoga, what other things did you guys or have you done off stage together to build the intimacy?
Mani
that's so
pedis.
clear?
That's what she's
Yep.
trying to set that
That's
up.
supposed to be a surprise.
What was a surprise? Don't.
A surprise
is this
for
delayed?
whom?
Is this
We
gonna be
heard
live?
you.
Yeah,
we heard you
we
from the
live streamed
girls'
this-
girls' dressing room. We heard a half.
We heard
I'm supposed to take
everything,
them
yeah.
to
We
get-
heard
I'm
the
gonna take
offer.
them
There's
to
a
get
whole.
petties.
We can hear it all.
She's gonna take
I'm
the
gonna
girls
take them.
out.
I was gonna take
girls-
everybody to get
the girls
petties.
out.
Everybody.
Mani pedis.
You were going to?
And
I
over.
was.
The girls and
I
over.
was. I guess I'll just take the ladies out. I was trying to be intersectional. But that's fine.
I like
I've been
that.
trying to get people to do Muay Thai boxing with me, but everybody's sort of like everybody's always busy, and
We're
always-
they're like,
oh,
I'm
we're so
busy that day.
tired.
And you're
Oh,
like,
yeah,
oh,
that's
then tell me what
right.
day it is.
I have something.
He comes
relaxing
in
to
with
do.
like gloves and weights every day, like doing these crazy workouts. You guys want to go work out? And we're like, nah, man. This.
A
Relax.
movie though, me, you, and the costume designer Andy, and our assistant
Oh yeah,
stage
we went to
manager.
see
saw
A Star Is Born.
earlier
We
this
did
week.
that as
Yeah.
a
Honestly,
cast.
we've
Yeah.
we've really been
Oh, the book,
working
the
for
book,
most of
the
the
book.
time.
What book?
We went. Your outing. What?
Oh, this is a good one.
Okay,
Can we set it up? Set it up.
So
Dreams come true.
how we
Okay.
started our rehearsal.
yeah, so this first week of rehearsal.
I don't know that I want you to share. Go ahead.
No, it's
Yeah,
too
we
late
have
now.
to, we have to.
So first week of rehearsal, we were talking about Sally Field and how she has a book coming out. And I walk down the street in Union Square, and we see that at Barnes & Noble, Sally Field is having a book signing. And so I text Nnamdi, I say, this is fate. And so we waited in line early and waited to get, we all bought books so we could get like proper seats. And we went to a book signing for Sally Field's new book. That was like our first, I want to say, like
Yes.
group outing.
That
And it was like
week
rehearsal
one,
was
I
like,
think.
so there's a Sally Field book signing. Nnamdi's a fan. Do you guys want to go? And literally it was like, yeah, what time?
Yeah, what time? I'm like, Nnamdi is, so we.
And then you went and stood in, because I know how those Barnes and Noble book
and
signings
we went
thing
early.
get.
We waited for a couple hours.
Yeah.
we waited for.
I
a
was
couple
impressed.
And you got up to her, and you
Hours.
got
Went up there,
to.
got the book signed.
I
What'd you
shook
say to her?
I shook Sally's hand.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did. I heard her on in the audience.
Yeah.
Right. It was
She was
great.
great.
Meeting
She
your
was great.
heroes is a pretty special thing.
Yeah, I had worked with her for like a brief second on this film called Hello, My Name Is Doris, and just had like a quick scene with her, and so I was able to talk to her for 30 seconds there. But to see her again was just great.
At Barnes and Noble, did you go like, do you remember me? Because I know all celebrities love that.
I did not say that.
I think
I
that's
was-
probably
I
for
was
the best.
shaking. Thanks, Sally.
I got a picture. I got pictures of it.
She got a picture.
It was great.
Yeah.
Who are some other heroes that you guys have met, and what was that like for you? Have you ever met one of your heroes?
Have you seen Weeds?
Good job, Ian.
Were you
That Mary Louise Parker is
Getting ready to
amazing.
leave.
For two. For two.
I actually love that you cast a TV star in that role because
I?
wow.
Touche.
Because
Well done.
the character
done.
Well
description
done.
is written as
Well done, my
the character description is written as is it like part Dawson and part Zach Morris?
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
And I mean,
Hello, Hunter. Hello, Hunter.
not live up to that. So I don't
Yes.
know. I
Yeah.
don't know why I'm
He
here. Still trying to
absolutely
figure it out.
does. He absolutely does. Yeah, we're so happy to have him.
well, I can imagine that there are celebrities showing up to see this play. It's just it's so brilliant. It's so like even just looking at the key art here. It's a person. It's very up close. It indicates an intimacy. It has both the look of both an adult and like one of those in utero photos.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it also has infinite stars. And there was another element in the notes that come before the script that most of the audience doesn't get to see that references a glimmer.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Because I think it's so like sort of intoxicating.
Yeah, I mean, I just really wanted this play very much to be a homage, and the person who had passed, Matthew, was very much about the stars and astrology, and I sort of grew up also being very much into stars and astrology, and so I really tried to incorporate mythology and stars and glimmer and like try and actually describe what it is to have that sort of first kiss, that first moment, and so the little sort of moments where they get together should feel like a star brightening or something glimmering, like something that is about to be magical, because we sort of talk about it being magical, and then with theater it's kind of like, well, what happens if we actually do that? What happens if every time they kiss or every time they get together we actually see a little bit of magic? does that ramp it up or is that too corny? And so it felt like it felt right. It's like weird to like kiss Ian and then like hear like this music and then this glimmer. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play. But it's really special. It's really gorgeous how Owoye and Una, our lighting designer, has sort of, and Joy IK, our composer, has sort of encapsulated like how do you add that glimmer? How do you add that actual, when you make it literal, that spark that happens between two people?
The whole design is so gorgeous and incredibly evocative.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first walked into the theater, it doesn't look like it's so stylized that it was hard to tell, oh, where are we going to be? Like, what kind of location does this play take place in? But then as soon as the actors come on with very minimal props, like one blanket and a pillow, there is suddenly an entire world created. And I think that is such a testament to them and to you all as actors for existing in the space as if it is a world and not a stage.
Thank you.
It always feels like there's great power in, and this is a testament to our Jason, our set designer, but in allowing the viewer to fill in those blanks. And so you set the stage for it a little bit, but he's created such a great canvas, and then you bring on two actors and Owoye, just beautifully putting that piece together. But then to get literal with it, it kind of takes away from the magic. So somehow in what it seems like the team has put together is like the ability to enjoy the magic that is also in your mind. You fill in the blanks with the story, and the parts that you don't see literally, you get to enjoy, by your own, like bringing in your own part of it. I think that's the beauty of theater, is getting to bring a piece of yourself to it. So.
Sure, and a good piece of theater for me as an audience member always leaves me feeling full, almost like a good meal. And this play definitely did that. I'm going to open up the questions to the audience.
Nice.
Good afternoon to you all. My question specifically for Ms. Ngozi and Mr. Nnamdi. Although I'm not Nigerian-American, I am first-generation American, specifically from the Congo and Angola. I want to know what your outlook is when it comes to contemporary African voices in theater and film, especially since unfortunately the African cast is not always seen in the most realistic or positive light in the media.
I think it's getting better. There are a lot of first-generation African storytellers, at least in theater, that I know of. Jocelyn Bio, who's Ghanaian American, Mfani Sodofia, who's also Nigerian American, who are really looking to reshape the gaze of how Africa is looked on, or how Africans are looked on here in America. I don't necessarily feel like that is as strong in film. I think there is absolutely, for better or worse, I'm just going to use the term trauma porn when it comes to depicting Africans. So I think the more that we as first generations, or the more that we can champion African artists to tell a coming of age story that happens to be set in Ghana, or a coming of age story that happens to be set in Ghana, in the Congo, that is not also about war, Not that those stories are not important, they absolutely are, but there isn't sort of an obsession with the downtrodden African. And so we're sort of doing our best to show the pathology of that, but also the other stories. So I think it's getting better the more that I feel that there is a movement happening for Africans to be telling their own stories, and I think it's getting better that way.
Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I agree. I just think theater is ahead of it in that regard. And there's this wonderful New York Times article that was done on Ngozi, if you guys find it online, where she talks about that and how theater is kind of putting that foot forward in letting those people tell the stories. And I think film and television hopefully isn't far behind. But yeah, definitely in the theater world, it's happening. It's great.
Thanks. We've got another question over here.
Hi guys. So I noticed that you guys have this great off-stage dynamic, and it sounds like the play is also an amazing dynamic on stage. And I was wondering if that helps, like building bonds beforehand, if it really helps to increase the performance on stage, like your bond, like you guys seem like really close. Like how does that work out for you?
Theater vets.
It does seem like you guys are going to be friends for life.
That's Ngozi's superpower. She's really good. She's got multiple. Besides seeing into your soul, she also can. She has this way of just finding energies that work well together. And like the moment we showed up together, we were like, yeah, this is gonna work. Like there was like instant synergy. And also with our director, Awoye, she went, and her navigating the room, as you said before, it's like, it was just, the energy was just, we were flowing from the get-go. And so we wanted to hang out afterwards. We wanted to spend more time with each other, get to know each other even better, and to learn more things about each other so we can, like, you know, play more on stage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a big part of a positive, because, you know, you can see a great show, you can see a great movie, a film, and you can hear that story backstage about how they can't stand each other. So it can be done. I just prefer for it to not be that way. But I think it just very much has to do with trust, you know? Like, for this particular piece, it's a very personal piece, and so, you know, I gotta trust people, and so it's not actual family, but they gotta feel like family, and so I'm just lucky that that is the case, that these are just very beautiful, very open, very just, and relentlessly open people. Like, that's also just part of the work, I think, too, so.
Yeah, I was really shocked. This is my first time doing theater, and I come from team sports, and so I felt very much at home because it was a team atmosphere, and I was shocked when they told me this isn't how it is in every single theater production. Mm-hmm. You know, because you're with each other, obviously, the entire day for weeks, and then later for months. But, you know, you could be pulling out each other's hair, but that's just not what goes on here. And I was shocked when they said that this isn't how it always is. You know, so it's great.
You're going to be spoiled for life.
Yeah. I'm going to stop here. This is my...
Go out on a high note.
Please don't.
That's right. That's right.
We have time for one more question.
Hi. So I was wondering how... Oh, it's working. I was wondering how your own personal experiences with grief and recovery have influenced your performance.
Hunter? He's been...
I'll give the worst answer so that everyone else's answer will be elevated.
So generous.
Right? Aren't I a nice guy? No, honestly, for me, this role doesn't require that. I don't hold a lot of her grief in my storyline. I think a lot of the other characters do and sort of experience it actually pretty personally. Particularly, he's the one that's gone. And so he doesn't talk much about grief, but he certainly does. And so they can maybe speak more to that. But my focus was really more about bringing light and life afterward. And I don't know, I've lost some grandparents, but I've never really felt I've never really felt this deep sort of grief in my life yet, you know. So I can't speak on it. I can't really speak on it.
Like you said, I'm the one who passes. And a lot of my character actually, though, when he is alive, actually deals with being remembered and what that looks like. And actually goes back to sort of your question about friendship and love, because I think something about being remembered is you have to be fully seen and you have to be fully loved. And it's a deep desire in all of us to have that. And I know it's a desire in me, it's a desire, I think, in all people. And so this idea of like having this childhood friend, this person who knows you the most, who sees you to your core and still says, yes, I accept this, I take you on, even your darkest, even your shadow, I see you and I love you for it. It's sort of something that I kind of carry constantly and like I try to give back, and like I think that's always present on stage, seeing, loving, being, yeah.
That character wanted so much to be remembered. Was that a characteristic of your friend that you lost too?
Yeah, I think that's just also the characteristics of what it is to be that young, you know, like we were 20, you know, and that was some time ago, and I think that at that age, you're very much thinking about what it is that you're gonna leave behind, what it is that you're gonna be, what it is that you're gonna do, are you gonna be important, are you gonna do anything, are you gonna be anything? And so to have someone sort of snuffed out of the world before that person reaches their potential, then it's like, well, what do you remember of that person? So this is just kind of like an encapsulation of like, well, I remember how this person made me feel. I remember how this person made me feel about myself. I remember the loss of this person was a catalyst for me becoming a probably more intense artist and really committing to doing my art.
And now you've used that art to memorialize him and to represent, I think, for all of us who have lost someone, to have sort of a touchstone for that. And what better way for your friend to ultimately be remembered.
Yeah.
I want to thank you all so much for being here. It was really fun. And I just, like, when I am moved by a piece of theater, I think I have the same experience as many audience members, which is like, I just want to know you. I just want to, like, get in there, like, if not into the world of the play, but into the world of the theater makers.
You
And
want to
you've-
come hang out? We just. I'm probably gonna go do something after
Hot
this.
yoga, hot yoga,
Hot yoga.
Starving.
Hot yoga?
petty.
you have made it so easy. Backstage, on stage, you have just really let me in and let all of us in, and that's rare, and I love you for it.
Thank you.
Everyone,
Thank
go
you.
see Good Grief at the Vineyard Theater. I can't praise it enough, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for your brilliant, brilliant work.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
You all.